It's good to see you again. And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope. What? No, of course not. They're purely theoretical. That's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. One step closer to seeing market approval. Genevieve is going to be so excited. So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp. I'd be the next Ray DeCaris, my childhood hero and mentor. How amazing would that be? DeMarcus, eat your heart out. Don't tell him I said that. He knows I love and respect him. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be? I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research. Exactly. Not that I want to gloat over it. Maybe just a little. Okay, so DeMarcus and I have really been looking forward to it, so fingers crossed this deal goes through. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome. That blasted tech. If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened. It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research. Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch. I suppose you're right. As long as I'm fully aware of the risks, I can properly account for them. My first priority will be to get the board and all security members set up with shielding as soon as possible. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd, we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuroamp might cause. Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it. I imagine we're looking at months of work. Infinity Ltd is obviously not known for their security. I only hope that Masako and the others will be patient with the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
If only there were more hours in the day. Well, if it isn't my favorite operative, something I can help you with? You heard correct. I've every reason to believe that Infinity Ltd. Is the Pandora's box of corporations. I can guarantee that Infinity Ltd. Was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience. All right, I could use the entertainment. Tell me why Infinity is a good asset. Point taken. Huh. Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me. Talent like yours belongs in the courtroom. Unfortunately, half my department's been poring over documentation, while the other half is writing up what legal guidance they can. Are you trying to add to my stress right now? First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage. Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused, but that's why there are laws regarding improper usage. Tech like this only has good applications when you have complete control over who uses it. Once that tech hits a market, open or private, that control is gone. And not only that, the tech is out there to be advanced or modified by anyone who might get their hands on it. In an ideal situation, yes. And I suppose creating that ideal situation is within my power. Now you've made it sound like a proper challenge that I can't help but accept. Misako is lucky to have you at her disposal, you know? You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful, but now I really do need to get back to my notes.
Is Misako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side? Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be. In this business, there's always a side. And right now, I'm backing Misako. We just need to grab Infinity Ltd. While it's got the public's full attention. I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light. Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them. The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too. I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year. The consumer is our lifeblood, so capturing their wants and desires, of course, it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't. All right, I suppose you've earned the right to voice your opinion after everything you've done, qualified or not. So let's hear it. Of course, which is why I know it requires some very delicate handling. But unlike Alexis, I believe we can get the proper restrictions and regulations in place to have a marketable product. We do it every day with weapons we arm ourselves and our ships with. Don't I know it? I think Alexis and I are truly going to have our work cut out for one another. We'll discuss security ramifications with Dalton, and I'm sure there are alterations, safety nets, if you will, that we'll need from Vina. It's sure to be quite the undertaking. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
Operatives really will wear anything. Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available. Good. I prefer first-hand feedback when available. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity Ltd. Throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why? You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours. Saving the jobs of thousands is altruistic, which is not a luxury corporations have. It's a financial burden. It would be a huge undertaking on my part. That is a plea more well spent on Genevieve or Alexis. I prefer to focus on the numbers and leave emotions out of my decision-making. Perhaps I wanted to see if I could be convinced otherwise. It's easy to say it's the right thing to do for someone in your position. But for me, Infinity Ltd. Is a huge financial unknown. It's high risk versus mediocre reward. This is true. Infinity never had the financial resources to match our salary offers. Getting what few capable employees they have at half the salary we typically pay here could have major payoffs in the long run. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation? And why do you feel it was well handled? Please note I'm not disagreeing. I just want to know the why behind your statement. Being prepared for anything is a great asset, one that Masako excels at. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been. It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come. There's no doubt it's our future. This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
Did Masako send you to try and convince me to acquire Infinity Ltd? I think we both know that's not going to work. Our public perception is good enough. If you ask me, reaching out to save Infinity just makes us look weak. The internal neuroamp gives us the power to crush our competitors, not take them under our wing. This is exactly why Masako's time as CEO is finished. I'll overlook your poorly educated statement, for now. Throwing your competitor a lifeline when they're about to crash and burn hardly seems wise. The corporate world will hear SSNN's story and believe Ryujin exposed Infinity because they stole from us. It sends a strong message. But acquiring Infinity could be interpreted as a safety net. Infinity tried to screw us over, yet they still survived. We need to be sending a much stronger message. If you mess with Ryujin, we'll shut you down. Period. Ryujin Industries isn't a corporation built on heart. I think you know that. The benefits may exist, but the message will be stronger. As long as everyone has Ryujin's best interests in mind, this should make for an interesting meeting. Maybe not for a lowly operative, but for me, personally, I think it'll be one to remember. Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have a lot of preparations to make.
All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd.
This acquisition is sure to have its financial pitfalls, but as a wise person pointed out, it would have major payoffs in the future. Plus, with their current situation, Infinity Ltd will be more affordable than ever.
Arguments?
We should be crushing our competition, not rescuing them from their own flaws. This is a weak decision, Masako, and you know it. In fact, I move that Masako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with.
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Masako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
Security, escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up? If there's nothing else, this meeting is concluded. I'll be following up with a few of you shortly.
So much work to do.
So, Infinity Ltd learned a lesson the hard way, and we exposed the traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. Lyndon and I already had that conversation, and yes, you will be getting an increase in wages from now on. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time. Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved. I hope that enthusiasm sticks with you for the foreseeable future. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it. As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
you've certainly shaken things up around here. I still can't believe Ularu tried to frame me. An obvious misjudgment on my part. But now that's all in the past. It's time to get back to your typical day-to-day. Of course, if you think anyone here believes in downtime, forget it. And I'd say it's good to be back if I hadn't returned to a mountain of paperwork. Now, since you were new, you've been dealing with people, but most of our assignments are generated on the mission board. The board holds any available assignments that our techs have pieced together, and I've approved. Questions? No, but try to see that as an improvement, since I certainly do. The mission board is more efficient for both of us. Well, after this conversation, you can head up to your office and see for yourself. Just think of it as a computer that lets you pick and choose your assignments at will, rather than having to deal with me all the time. Nothing you aren't already familiar with. You experienced the majority of what we do here during your training, if you recall. Uploading a few files, manipulating a narrative or two, obtaining schematics, it's just more of the same. I wish. Assignment approval isn't exactly riveting work. With your promotion, you've earned yourself an office, so whenever you're ready, you can find your own personal mission board inside. And the best perk of them all, you're free to make your own hours. Oh, and congratulations, of course. No, only within the tower. The security risk would be far too much to allow access to that data in a public space. At this point, I wouldn't doubt it. Go check out the board, and if you have any questions, I suppose I can start up an open door policy, just for you.